So this week what I want to do is I want to combine my last two speeches and make them into one speech. But I want to do so in a way that lays them out more concisely with a very discernible introduction, main points, and then conclusion. Oswald Chambers, a noted theologian of our time, said, "God never gives us discernment in order that we may criticize, but that we may intercede." Hearing a statement like that really makes me think for a minute. What is he really saying here? And it brought to mind Galatians 6:1 that says, "Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted." And I really think that Oswald Chambers and Apostle Paul were saying very much the same thing here. In the original Greek, the word Paul uses for restore is katartizo. This word is used to describe the replacement of a dislocated joint. So, in a very real way, Paul was using an analogy here. And I think that there are three things that we can take from that analogy that we can apply to our understanding of the verse. So, the first thing is this. When a joint is dislocated, it is not very painful. And I think this is interesting because sometimes when we're involved in sin, we don't necessarily feel the pain of it. We don't always know the damage that it's doing. The second thing I want to point out is this. The pain comes when trying to put the joint back into place. And the larger the joint, the harder and more painful it is to put back. So when we translate this over into our analogy, we see that it would be something like the deeper that you're stuck in sin, the harder it is to get out. Or the more heavily involved you are with the sin, the harder it is to disassociate yourself from it. And the third thing that correlates with this analogy of the dislocated joint is that once the joint is put right, the pain is gone. It just vanishes. So I think that translates to when we are finally out of our sin, we don't feel the pain of it anymore because we know that we are free from it. So that covers the first part of the verse. Now we get to what our role is as the person who lives by the Spirit rather than the person who is stuck in a sin. And there are two facets to this when we're looking at the verse. Our role is to intercede or to help or to come in between someone and the sin that's binding them. How we do this matters. How we respond to them matters. As a person who lives by the Spirit, we are called to bear the fruits of the Spirit, which are love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, and self-control. Now, if we look very carefully, we see two of the fruits that are totally relevant to what we're talking about. Gentleness is our approach to our brother and sister. But we have to remember the warning. Sin can sometimes look very appealing or fun. So we have to be able to show self-control. We're responsible for helping, but we also have to be very careful not to get caught up in the sin ourselves. Fighting against sin can be very dangerous. Facing it head on is certainly not something that you should do unpreparedly. In the end, the lesson is this. Sin can be scary and sneaky, and we have to help each other out of these dangerous traps. But we have to be prepared for it. We have to be careful. Just like anything else, you have to know what you're doing when you're trying to combat sin. You wouldn't sign up for a taekwondo competition without knowing how to do taekwondo. Or go into a boxing ring with Floyd Mayweather and expect to win without being an expert boxer. If you have a friend that's stuck in sin, be there for them. Fight for them. But do it wisely and carefully. And also, if you feel stuck, call a friend. Talk to a pastor. Talk to a mentor. Someone who is strong in their faith that can help fight for you.